Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here, and welcome to another video. Today, we're going to be showing you guys our first draft for the Road to Glory episode. So, we ended up choosing the 4-1-2-2 formation, which ended up being pretty decent. It's the bracket 2 variation of the formation, which is the narrow version of the formation. The reason why I chose this formation is because 4-1-2-2s in the last couple of years have usually been the formation that's usually really good to use in FIFA. So I wanted to try it out to see if it was as effective as previous years. This year it's a good formation, but with how dynamic tactics and how other people's formations play into effect nowadays, it's actually something to take into consideration that the 4-1-2-2 is a good formation to use if you really need to exploit the middle of someone's team, right? So if someone is attacking a lot on the sides or defending a lot on the sides, if you can heavily congest the midfield so that your strikers are making runs in behinds, your center mids are unbalanced, your CDM is on stay back while attacking, your center mids could be on stay back while attacking, stay on the edge of the box. But as you have your strikers getting in behind and really trying to push behind someone's defense, it could be really effective because wide passes in general in this FIFA are really nice to do, right? So definitely to take into consideration. Now, when I was using this formation, I was using I was using all the 4 different tactics. So on balanced, I would start off with the CDM to stay back while attacking, but then everything else would just be untouched. Tactics, I would have very minimum and get into the box because I don't really cross the ball too often. So as normal, I put it on 4. Corners and free kicks, same thing, 1 and 1. I don't like getting counterattacked, so I want to avoid that as much as possible. And then with the attacking and defensive styles always on balance, I'm going to try out different play styles eventually to see which one I prefer the most. But I just feel like balance is a pretty good tactic to use in the beginning, right? So with the 4-1-2-2, defending with the CDM is decent. I definitely think that you need medium-high for your defensive mids this year, for sure, because defending with your midfielders has always been the most effective way to defend in FIFA. So having them always in that position is going to be the most ideal situation for you. So right now I was using Decor. Now you guys are going to see the draft team that I end up making. And I believe I had Pogba, Decor, and it might have been Wijnaldum as the other center mid. I can't remember exactly. Actually, I think it might have been, I think it was like Saul or something. So what I ended up doing, right, because some people were suggesting to use Pogba as the CDM and then start off with Decore. So before the team is made, that is what I actually do. I put Decore as the left center mid, and then I put Pogba as the center defensive mid. So that way, in-game, from Dynamic Tactics, I would change, the way that it would work in Futdraft is this way right now, right? You change to ultra defense or attacking or ultra attacking, but then you have to pause the game right after you switch that really quickly so that you could do it from kickoff, so you don't have to do it during the game, right? You basically do that and you switch the players you want in every single position you want. So for instance, if I switch to defensive tactics, right? After I switch to defensive tactics before the guy kicks the ball off, I will press start, or I think it's advanced on the PlayStation controller. I don't know why it's called, it's options on the PlayStation controller. And then what I'll basically do is I'll put the players on that I need to put on. So for instance, I didn't want to use Banega in my team, so I used Mane as a player to replace Banega. I put Ben Yedder as the cam, and I used Suarez as a striker. So the tactic that I ended up using against people was, with the striker, I told the quicker player or the faster player to drift wide. The reason why I did this is because the 4-1-2-2 really congest the middle. And I didn't really want to overcommit my fullbacks because people were really attacking the sides against me, because if someone's using a 4-3-3 and they have their fullbacks to attack and their wingers to attack, I could be vulnerable in the defense. So I didn't really want to overcommit my fullbacks. So I told one of my strikers at least to drift wide. The reason why I did this is because I was using Luis Suarez as the left striker on balance. So when I keep Luis Suarez there, he's the type of player that if you pass the ball to him, he'll be able to lay it off to somebody else next to him, right? So that's why I kept on passing the ball towards him, because when I gave him the ball and someone like Mane were to drift wide, or the center mids would kind of stay in that general area and then pass the ball off to the player making the runs, it was very helpful, right? And you'll notice it was some of the goals that we end up scoring in this game, how really heavily congested the midfield is. So I think it was after the first game or the second game I realized, yeah, I need one guy to at least push the sides, right? So that's why I ended up doing that. And it's good to do that when you have quick players. The players who are stronger, like I said, like Suarez, it's better to have them to be on balance or stay center, because Suarez isn't going to outpace anybody, right? So telling him to stay in the center is going to be ideal, because you already have someone drifting out wide, right? So that's definitely something that I would look into. So my defensive tactics was CDMs to stay back while attacking, fullbacks to stay back while attacking, and the right striker to drift wide, and I put Mane in that position, right? My ultra defensive tactics was stay back while attacking for the fullbacks, stay back while attacking for the CDMs and center mids, but the center mids also had stay on the edge of the box, so they didn't make the run inside. So when you have your players to stay on the edge of the box, and you have your crossing tactic to like a 4 or a 3, the 4 will make it so that if you do want to cross the ball at any point, you'll have like 3 or 4 attackers into the box, but you'll still have the CDMs and the center mid staying on the edge of the box, because when you have stay on the edge of the box and you have like a 1 on get into the box or a 4, your players will really do that instruction of staying on the edge of the box. So I like starting off on ultra defensive, because I want to see how I want to play against my opponent, if I want to be more aggressive or if I want to be more conservative. When you start off conservative, that's a good thing, because you analyze how your opponent is playing, right? So if you realize that, hey, my opponent keeps the players, he keeps putting me with all this pressure, I'm good enough at defending against him, so when I get this ball back, I need to be able to attack against him really quickly. That's what you do, right? When you get the ball back, you switch to an attacking variation of the formation. So the attacking variation of the formation would be to get in behind on the strikers, your cam to stay forward, your center mids to be unbalanced, and your CDM to stay back while attacking, right? The reason why you want your CDM to stay back while attacking and you don't want to overcommit him is because you still want a balance of being able to pass the ball back and then progressively making your way forward too, right? So you don't want everybody committing forward. The fullbacks would be unbalanced as well, so I wouldn't tell them to stay back while attacking. And then the ultra attacking, I would tell my fullbacks to join the attack and get in behind, and then the CDM would be unbalanced or get forward. It's one of those options I use for the CDMs. And the cam, yeah, everything else was strikers to get in behind, one of them to drift wide while getting in behind, so the right striker would drift wide and get in behind, and then the cam, I would just keep them as is except for stay forward. So those tactics ended up working really nicely for me in this draft, because you'll notice how when we progressively move the ball, there's so much space on the sides, and it was bothering me so much, because I was like, dude, I really want to exploit these sides. That's why starting off with a 4-1-2-2 in this FIFA actually could be really ideal, because if you have a 4-1-2-2 where you can switch to a 4-2-3-1 in game, it would actually be really good, because if you think about it, right, you're playing really narrow. The opponent realizes you're playing really narrow, and then somewhere in the game you would switch to a 4-2-3-1, and you would tell your left cam and your right cam to stay forward. They'll make the runs on their own because of their work rates and stuff. It would be really nice, because you would always make those extra runs on the sides, because when you build up the play in the middle, it's so congested when nothing else is happening on the sides, right? So it's definitely something to take into consideration as well. I know I keep saying this, but it's just analyzing how your team is playing and how your opponent is playing is very important. With drafts, the cool thing about drafts is that for the most part, most teams that you pretty much get or are up against is of fair value to you. So when you play division rivals, for instance, like some people already have really good teams. Like a Harry Kane in this game is good because his shooting is just fantastic, right? Some people already have like fantastic cards like Dele Alli's and stuff. Like those guys are really good players. So obviously, if you have a team that's not as good, right? Like I have a main team and then I have a fitness team. If you guys saw the two OP Liga Santander teams, the fitness team is the one that has like Morales, Rodrigo, and all those guys. And then the real team is the one that has like Dembele, Muriel, and all those dudes, right? And the thing I definitely noticed right off the bat is a striker needs to have physical presence if he is the lone striker. And that's always been the thing with FIFA. That's just been a general thing. I've always needed to have a physical striker, but I think with this year and the way that this game progresses, players like the Ronaldos, like the R9s, the CR7s, those guys are probably going to be the most ideal strikers to use. Using Neymar, I used Neymar once as a sub in that team, and I love Neymar in this game, but I think Neymar is going to be best used as a winger. The reason being for that is because if you start him off with a 4-2-3-1, right, that could be your defensive variation of the formation, because you could start a left wing in the left mid position, right? So that would be my balanced tactic starting off the team would be a defensive version of it. So that 4-2-3-1 would be the one that has stay back while attacking, come back in the defense, so on and so forth. But then my defensive tactics would be somewhat of my defensive tactics would be the balanced tactic, and then my attacking tactic would be just the regular attacking tactic. So the balance and the defensive would be switched, because I wouldn't be able to start off the formation that I wanted. So instead of using the 4-2-3-1 wide, I would be, or instead of starting off with the 4-2-3-1 narrow, I would start off with the 4-2-3-1 wide. So the balanced formation I would have to set up as the defensive one, because 4-2-3-1 wide is more defensive. So I'd start off that one as a defensive one, set on balanced, and then when I switch to defensive in game, that one would switch to the 4-2-3-1 narrow, and then that would be my balanced tactic, right? I know it sounds really confusing, but I feel like you guys are getting what I'm trying to say. So switching the dynamic tactic would be really helpful in those situations. But again, with division rivals, people already have really good teams, so every game is pretty much really hard to play against right now, because if you're using a fitness team and using your real team, it's going to be difficult to win most of your matches. But in foot drafts, most teams are very fair. So when I came up against a person's squad, I never felt like I was handicapped in any way, because I felt like the team quality that I had was very equal to somebody else. And that's the best thing about drafts, right? When you play foot drafts, you're spending the 15K. I made my money back this time, right? But although the packs are a little bit weird right now, it's worth it, but it's not worth it. It just really depends on who you pack. I ended up packing a very good player who could actually go up in price after this week, because he's the only good player nationality of his position right now. I don't think there's any other like informs, but it depends. Like if next week there's like a prediction of who could be the informs, then we'll look at what happens then. But again, with Futdraft, it was really nice to play. It's a fun game mode to play because there's a balance between your team and the other person's team, right? And I really like that about the game mode. So Futdrafts are going to be really fun to play this year again. But again, when you do a Road to Glory, it's more of a risk to play, because if you spend the 15K and you don't win pretty much all your games, it's not really worth playing unless you're really lucky and you lose in the finals and you get a good player, or, you know, so on and so forth. You lose in the first round, you get a Futdraft token. All depends, right? But again, Futdraft is going to be really fun to play this year because of that balance between two players, right? So with the 4-1-2-2, Luis Suarez, I liked Luis Suarez, but the lack of pace and the lack of quick dribbling, like his dribbling is good, but it's not quick dribbling, right? Because dribbling in this game, I wonder if they're going to change it in the patch, because his dribbling, when you dribble with players like Ben Yedder or Muriel or Dembele, it's sharp and quick dribbling, right? But Suarez is a little bit, it's responsive, but it's not as sharp. I know I keep repeating myself in these instances, but it's just for people to get like what I feel about the players. His shooting, however, is fantastic, right? I hit like one really dirty finesse shot with him, which are very effective this year, by the ways. Basically the 45-degree angle finesse shots, if you get the player in the right position, hit those, because I think Suarez may have the finesse shot trait. I could be wrong, but if he doesn't, he just generally has really good shooting stats, so he's going to bang those into the back of the net. So take those if you have the opening to do it. The guy didn't put any pressure on me, so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to pop a finesse shot from here because he don't want to put pressure against me, and I ended up scoring it. I was using Mane. I like Mane, but something that I've realized for this year's game in particular, upgrade the finishing as much as possible. I don't know if my Mane had sniper or any type of chemistry style that increases his finishing or shot power or any of those sorts, because he did miss a couple of opportunities because he doesn't have high enough finishing. Now, in this year's game, driven shots are actually still pretty good, but they're only really good if you use the really good players. Like, we're not even talking about, like, sometimes Suarez can miss a driven shot. I'm talking players that have pretty much every single stat to make their finishing better, because it's not all about the like, if a player has, because I know Suarez has good finishing, but it's not about just 91 finishing and then like 91 composure. It's about other stats playing into effect as well. This year, balance actually seems to be a relevant stat for finishing, because you'll notice that when your player finishes really poorly, it's because he's off balance, right? So taking those extra touches and dribbling in certain ways is definitely going to help you, right? So that's why I want to see how Ronaldo plays in the game, because Ronaldo's balance isn't the greatest, but if you give him a sniper card or an artist card, you'll increase the dribbling and the balance, so it might actually help in those situations. But other stats from Ronaldo could help with his finishing being better. The cam that I was using was Ben Yedder. I think Ben Yedder actually got an inform this week, and his inform looks fantastic, so I would definitely try him out. People were telling me that they noticed his +5 shooting upgrade, which obviously is going to be noticeable because the finishing is very different in this year's game. Ben Yedder's finishing is already pretty good with his regular card, but I can only assume that with his inform it would be significantly better, especially since you can actually set a chemistry style to it to make it better. My center mids, Decor played okay as a CDM. I don't think Decor's medium high. He didn't feel like a medium high. I didn't check, but he definitely didn't feel like he was one, because his movement around the pitch was really aggressive, and I felt like I was very vulnerable in the middle most of the times, right? Pogba, absolutely loved Pogba this year. I hated Pogba the last, I think the last 2 years he was awful. Like, I genuinely hated him. But this year he has a really good card, right? Physical presence in the on the pitch. His dribbling is like, it's off balance in a way, but his dribbling is still good because he's big, right? It's kind of like Choupo-Moting, right? Like, Choupo-Moting doesn't have good stats, but Choupo-Moting's dribbling is okay because he's a big guy, right? So it's the new thing with FIFA, the dribbling this year, is like the reach, right? So the players, the way that they reach for the ball, Pogba really feels like Pogba in this FIFA, right? Like, you know how Pogba kind of like, the way he dribbles, he like reaches for the ball, he's calm, he kind of like takes that acceleration touch and stuff. He does that really nicely in this year's game. The other center mid that I was using was Saul. Saul was okay, but to be at the end of the day, I need pace in those positions, and he doesn't have a lot of pace, and he doesn't have things that make up for it. Like, Pogba doesn't have that much pace, but he has stats that make up for it. Physical presence in the air, like if a ball comes in, he can win the ball in the air. Again, dribbling is way better. Passing is really good. Shooting is awesome. 5-star skill moves, 4-star weak foot, like, that's amazing to have, right? Saul, I just felt like I was a little bit more limited. Like, sometimes I would be through on goal with him, and he wouldn't be fast enough to get past someone's defense. So that was also a problem. My back four consisted, I believe, of... I don't remember my back four. I think I had Longley as one center back. The other center back, I don't remember my back four, actually. I think my goal, I don't even remember my goal. My goalkeeper was Navas. Oh, so my goalkeeper was Navas. Nacho actually plays decently, and he's in one of my actual squads too, for my OP Liga Santander team. So Navas was okay. He was just a goalie, right? I don't notice a difference with him. Like, I know De Gea would probably be significantly better, but with Navas, like, just a random goalkeeper to have. You guys will see the finishing, and then you'll judge if it was the goalie's fault for most of the goals. I didn't really think any of them were his fault, but he also doesn't have the leg save trait. So the leg save trait will help with people shooting it really low, so that the player can just stick out his foot rather than going for a dive and then going under their arms, right? I think Sergi Roberto is my right back. Pace is still the most relevant thing for a fullback. Absolutely. You still need pace. I don't care what anybody says, you will still need it 100%. I had him on stay back while attacking with non-aggressive attacking tactics, and he would still push up. Pace is still important to be able to push back into position and get into those really good positions to progress forward and come back, right? So Sergio Roberto, he's good. He was okay on the ball and stuff, but you need the pace to come back. You just need it, right? The center backs, Nacho, Phil Jones. Phil Jones was funny, man. Phil Jones wasn't the greatest. He's a non-rare card. He has like 69 pace, okay defensive and physical stats. So he wasn't terrible, but he wasn't ideal, right? Like, every time he went up against somebody, the other person would just completely destroy him. FIFA, is like a very, very, very meta game. It's so meta, right? Like sometimes an attacker can outplay a defender and you would think that they're outplaying you, but it's because the player you have is not balanced enough to defend against the person that he's using. It's crazy, right? Because like I said, in Fortnite and in Call of Duty, all these things are cosmetic, right? They're not things that can improve your gameplay. But in FIFA, you can honestly lose 4-0 to someone when you don't have a meta team. But if you both have a meta team, you could probably destroy them 3-0. That's just kind of how it works, right, in FIFA. So a lot of the times with Phil Jones, people would just outpace him. Even attackers that weren't physical, because of how fast they were, their pace is what got them past Phil Jones, right? And it was just ridiculous. But you know, he's a card to use. It wasn't that bad. It was all right. I think the left back had to have been. It had to have been a player from the Premier League. I just don't remember who it was. It was Phil Jones. Was it an English guy? It might have been an English dude. I can't remember exactly who it was. It was a guy that matched with Pogba. So I'm kind of thinking about that right now. Yeah, I honestly don't remember. I don't remember having problems with my fullback, my left back. To be honest, it was okay. But the thing that I noticed the most was obviously the balance in the midfield. The balance in the midfield was completely off. Defending with it was a nightmare because you'll see with some of the goals that some people scored in this video. Like Batshuayi scored a goal because there's no CDMs that were, or no people in the middle that were able to put pressure against him while he was attacking the center back, right? And it was just stuff like that. Again, I don't think the core is medium-high. He could be, but he just looks like he might be high-medium because of the way that he was positioned on the pitch. But that is going to conclude the video for today, guys. The streams have been going really well, and I am going to be more consistent with them. So if you guys are interested in following the streams, it's at twitch.tv/inceptionxx. That's when we do go live and record all this stuff. That's why you guys can see all the overlays at the top, the sub count on the bottom right. Hopefully I'm pointing to the right direction there, because my left, your right, blah blah blah, you know, or your right, my left. The streams have been going really well. They're going to be very long most of the times. You know, I might take a break in between, eat some food, stream again, because streaming is definitely the thing that I prefer to do the most, but I also like making YouTube content as well. And I really, really appreciate the love that you guys have been showing on these YouTube videos so far. It's been incredible. I know that the Prime Icon video didn't do too well, but that's kind of like a filler video because I didn't record anything. I didn't do any Road to Glory stuff, so that's why I didn't really have any content to make for that day. So I had to like come up with something in my head like, oh, Prime Icon player review. Bam, made that, right? So I hope you guys did enjoy the video. We're gonna go ahead and show the rewards and the packs that we ended up packing from winning our draft. So I hope you guys do enjoy that. I'll see you guys later. Peace. Oh, without time finish? I do, yeah. I prefer not to have to worry about it personally. I feel like time finish would be helpful for it'd probably be helpful for like driven shots, but it's not like a big deal for me, you know? It's okay. It's like whatever. Mandanda? I think this is an okay pack, because Moutinho might actually sell for a little bit. I can't, like... Okay, that's not you. Wait. I don't know how this works. Confirm items? Oh. Oh, because it... Okay, I get it now. I was so confused for a second. I'm like, what? Oh, an inform. Or, yeah, an inform. Oh, that's the... Oh, it's not. It's a different guy. Oh, no, this is the Lala dude. Nice. That's a good pull, actually. My Elgato's not working for you guys. My bad. La 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 la. That's funny. We were just talking about him. Yeah. So how much does he cost? I can't. Oh wait, I could do this, right? Is this a League One team? It is a League One team. Yeah, like, if I still had the League One team, I'd probably use this, but... Everybody go to the transfer market. That guy looks like Vertonghen. Oh, Gaia's here too. Hey, Gaia. What's up, Bray? He will rise best French right back. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. There you go. Do you guys think I should keep him or sell him now? I don't have money, so... I kind of want to sell him just because of that. Sell, you need money? I don't need money. It's just to do more drafts. But I can probably make the money back just from selling the regular players. Because he's a first in form, so he's the best right back for French players right now. He would probably go to 25k. Maybe. I'm gonna check out these guys. I think like 83 cards at some point are gonna cost like probably a good amount. 1600 is not too bad though.